What's going on YouTube? So obviously Tony here, Hardwired Exotics, and this creep, no I'm just kidding. This is my, I had to. Anyway, Warren's good enough friend that I can pick on him, and Warren is from Bushveld Reptiles, the one and only, and today we're going to talk about feeding. So
sure.
A lot of, I hate to say problems because I don't really know if it's a problem or not, but a lot of conversations are brought up about getting the babies started with food. So I want to do a video on that. But before we jump into that part of it, tell me about this thing.
Well, this beautiful little house snake right here is the newest, look how he's periscoping there, is the newest pattern mutation in house snakes. So it's a recessive pattern mutation. We call this a marble. And as you can see, the typical eye stripes that is very characteristic of the Cape house snake is completely absent there. And the whole head pattern is broken up into this mosaic pattern right here, and it gives this lovely appearance.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely crazy. So I get asked about this because people say, I want a marble, I want to get a marble, I want to get a marble. And then when I tell them, hey, you know, they're 10 grand, why so high?
Well, it really comes down to rarity, Tony. I mean, as you know, when the first ones of these are found in the wild, they are very scarce, and then you have to go and breed and reproduce these, and this can be a process of years, especially we're dealing with recessive genes right here. And the fact is there's just not many of them out there, and this being the newest thing in house snakes has got a high demand.
Nice. So we just hatched our first het marbles. Were hatching as we were packing to come to Daytona. So super excited to make het marbles that are also het blue-eyed, and I don't even get to see them crawl out the egg.
Oh man.
So hey, I'm happy that we were lucky enough to have them. If somebody's interested in this project and they want to get into it, what's the financial side of this look like?
Well, as you know, they're in short supply, so we actually only brought the single pair with us to the show today. And if we don't sell them, this pair will still be available. We don't mind if we actually bring them home. But this being the female, she is going for $7,500. And then we have the male over there in the display cage, and he's a little bit more expensive. He is $10,000.
Okay, and explain why is the male more expensive than the female? Because that's not normally something you see, especially in the ball python world.
Well, is it not?
I know the answer to this. You're talking to them.
Okay. Well, you see, the male can cover multiple females. So when you're looking for your genetic powerhouse, it stands to reason that you'd have it in the male. And so I can run this male to marble females, or you used yours for breeding to blue eyes. So very quickly with the male, you can get this new recessive mutation into multiple other combos and mutations that are already out there, and making world's first in house snakes.
Yep. So you pay for the male, and not that the female's not valuable, because obviously, just like any other recessive and or pure, females hold their weight in gold.
They do, but you only get one clutch at a time. Well, you get two clutches technically, but
right.
Not as much as a male could do for you, covering multiple females. So.
All right, so there's your information on the marbles, why they're expensive, and you know, you don't see a lot of these on the market because guess what? They're just not there. So
there aren't that many.
All right, so what else you want to show us?
Well, let's have a look at some of the other mutations we have. I think we could have a look at a T-negative blue eye. Maybe we can look at a butter house snake. I mean, I always like to throw in a little bit of a Bushveld albino.
Sure.
That's our favorite one. And anything else that catches your eye?
Right on.
Okay, this bright sunflower colored snake right here, we call this a butter. A butter house snake. This is actually the first hybrid designer snake that was made in house snakes. And this is basically a cross between a Zambian Boedon freyde, Zambian locality, and the albino Boedon capensis. So basically we have here is a green albino, which gives this beautiful yellow coloration, and it was named the butter.
Because we have different lines of albino, you can actually have different lines of butters.
True.
So this is a T negative butter, but you can also make a T positive butter, which looks very similar. And then hopefully soon we're going to have a variation of this pretty cool snake.
Indeed. So the very first butters that were made with T positives, and this one, as you've been shown here, is the T negative version. But of course, we would love to see a butter with the third line of albino and see what a bushveld butter might look like.
And just so happens, we can give you an example of some bushveld albinos.
Okay, so I'm sure your audience is already familiar with the two most common lines of albino, the original T positive and T negative. But of course, this spectacular looking albino right here is our own line, the bushveld albino, which is not compatible with the other two lines. As we've spoken about before, we believe this is the true amelanistic form. They've got the most orange pupils and eyeballs out of any house snake, so a real spectacular appearance in house snakes, and they've got this lovely orange color saturation as well.
We definitely can't wait to see what the bushveld albino in a butter is going to look like.
Yes, so you would essentially have to cross a bushveld albino into a green Zambian locality, Boedon Friday, and then you're going to make your 50% hybrids that will be 100% het for the bushveld albino strain, as well as having that now green blood influence, which essentially you want to make a green albino, i.e. the butter.
I think it's going to look better than the T positive and the T negatives.
Oh, yeah.
But my personal opinion.
No, I agree with you.
All right, let's show off one more snake, and then we're going to get into the feeding part of this video.
Okay, this next beautiful house snake is actually one of my daughter's favorites because, as you can see, it is in fact a pink house snake. This is a double homozygous recessive for the blue eye mutation as well as T negative albino. So this is the closest thing we have to you could say a blizzard house snake. They are really like a pink, as pink panther as you get for a house snake.
Yeah,
so,
super cool looking. I have one of these as an adult, and they are really impressive even as adults. Almost like a, I hate to use the word rosy, but that's the only definition I can really give it. A pink rosy color.
Sure.
Pearl pink maybe.
Pearl pink. I like pearl pink. Beautiful house snakes, and again just shows the range that house snakes can be found in. I mean, the wild types range from different shades of brown to reds, and of course you get the green localities, but showing the different morphs that can be put together, and to have this beautiful appearance in a house snake is really something special to look at.
Almost got every color of the rainbow at this point.
Okay, I've just got two examples, Tony, just to show you the range in variation in the natural patterns of house snakes.
Okay.
There's so much aberrancy, and you can see you can get a mixture of stripes and spots, more stripes, some can be solid, patternless. So there's so many polygenetic traits in house snakes. So it really is what tickles your fancy. Which direction would you like to breed into? Because you can accentuate any of these looks in house snakes. You just have to pick the characteristics that you find appealing and then selectively breed in that direction.
Nice.
So
each one of them is a fingerprint.
that's true. They've got a unique print that you can identify the snake for its whole life. The blotches will not change. And yeah, no, it just gives so much variety in house snakes. And
I will add that the pattern seems to be, doesn't change. It just gets more noticeable as the snake gets bigger because you can see more, like it's just bigger, so it looks better.
Yeah, so as they mature, the patterns do expand somewhat. But yes, pretty much they still keep their original look. You can look at a hatchling photo and be able to tell from an adult who it was. So just great snakes, lots of potential, lots of longevity in projects. I mean, there's so many projects right now, it's hard to keep up with all of them.
Well, even just in breeding, you can take an animal like this, if you like certain characteristics like just the blotches versus the stripes, and you wanted to make blotchy or giraffe patterned animals,
exactly.
You just keep the ones that you really like, you breed them together, and over generations of time, you're going to end up with that probably.
And you know very well it's the best thing in the world is to select your own holdbacks and to see what your future breeding stock's going to be.
Definitely. All right, so as promised, we're going to talk a little bit about feeding baby house snakes. But before we get there, what is this thing?
This right here is one of the most popular pet tarantulas. This is a curly hair, and this is Tiltacotl albipilosus, a very iconic tarantula, and you can see where they get their name from. These guys are really just fluffy curly hairs.
Curly hair would be the common name.
The apt name for this species, and this is from Honduras.
These are very good first tarantulas for people.
That's correct.
So, but Warren also has a, I hate to say side business because it's not really a side business. It's a sister business, I guess would be better terms.
Kind of, yeah. And it was actually inspired by my son's interest in arachnids. He was looking at different spiders and showed some interest in tarantulas, and I got him, actually, we were speaking earlier about a Chaco Goldeny.
Yep.
And that was the first tarantula that we got since my kids were born, and that got us back into keeping spiders again. So the new business that we started that was inspired by my son's interest in tarantulas is actually called Arthropoda Safari, and we are focusing on captive breeding of certain species of tarantulas, especially baboon spiders, which originate from South Africa, and we do a range of different arthropods as well, from millipedes and praying mantises and some true spiders, but the main focus is captive bred tarantulas.
We used to have tarantulas many years ago, and I love them. I think they're cool animals.
You can see that Tony's quite comfortable with them.
Yep.
It's also funny when we speak about how many snake people are afraid of spiders.
Afraid of spiders.
Yeah.
Yep. She's webbed all over me now.
Yeah, she has.
But well, we're gonna let her run around, and we're gonna talk about feeding baby house snakes. I have my own process, and why I have Warren available, I'm going to ask him what his process is, or their process is, for starting out baby house snakes.
Sure.
What is bush-veiled reptiles? What's your normal, I hate to say schedule because it's not really process. Yeah, better word, process. So what's the normal process on feeding baby house snakes?
Well, fortunately, Tony, house snakes, they feed readily in captivity, so they're very easy. In fact, the vast majority of our house snakes take their first meal as a frozen thawed pinky. And we do have a system of alternating between frozen thawed pinkies, and if they, 9 out of 10 they'll take that. But if they don't, we might offer them a live pinky mouse, or if they're not interested in that, we might even go and offer them what we call a brained pinky mouse. And this is, we take a frozen thawed pinky, and you basically slice the top of their head with a scalpel blade or a sharp object, extract a little bit of the, the brain matter, put it on the nose, and that gives a great smell that the house snakes will take to, and that normally gets them to take a first meal.
Yeah. My process is pretty much the same thing. I usually use live a little bit more, but we feed frozen thawed as well. And I will say that if they won't take frozen thawed or live, the brain is really a good go-to thing.
Yes, has that been working out for you?
Yeah, I haven't had too much of a problem. There will always be some problem eaters periodically. There's other steps you may need to take, but we'll get into that possibly in another video. But general practice, the frozen thaw, it's almost like they prefer frozen.
They do. In fact, a lot of people overthink it, and we just say simply, and it's also another important tip, is the time that you offer the food. So we would opt to leave that frozen thawed pinky mouse in the enclosure overnight. So if the snake is in a tub, and ideally house snakes should have a little hide as well where they feel secure. So if you put that frozen thawed pink in front of their hide at night when everything's quiet, and then check the next morning, 9 out of 10 they would have taken that meal. And if not, then we will go to those alternative steps. But we always offer frozen thawed first because most of them will take it.
Yep, I agree. It's pretty much the same thing I do. I mean, I know for me, we don't sell anything until they've had 5 consecutive meals and at least a frozen thawed, which usually is more like 2 or 3, but I like to say just 1 because, again, I like to feed live, so it's just easier for me. But and I've bred ball pythons for so long, it's more natural for me to feed live. I like the process of that. Not necessarily the process of the snake eating it, it's just as much as I'm used to feeding live animals.
The convenience of having it fresh and so forth.
So.
Well, house snakes, they will take live pretty readily, but we just want, ultimately we want to have our customers have a house snake that is on frozen thawed.
Yeah, 80% of them want frozen. I mean, or prefer them to be eaten frozen.
Yeah, so the first meal I always prefer it to be frozen thawed.
So what happens when, because we have had this happen, you sell a baby house snake and somebody gets it and it's not eaten regularly for them, or it doesn't eat at all for them. What are some tips that you would try to give them?
Well, the problem with baby snakes that don't feed in an appropriate time is they lose condition pretty quickly, and this can happen within about 3 weeks if they don't take something. So you may have to intervene, but this is usually as a last resort, and there are methods of assist feeding that you could get into.
Yeah.
But this is usually outliers. You might have a smaller one of the clutch, or just some of them they just don't want to take to feeding by themselves, so they need a bit of encouragement.
So if somebody gets an established animal from you and then it gets shipped to them, or they picked it up at a show or something like that, and they can't get it to eat, and you know for sure that animal's already had a couple meals because you've produced it, or you have had it, so like it's done fine and it doesn't do good for them. What are some go-to things that you will tell them to do?
Well, it sort of, you have to do a little bit of investigating, and then you question them about their setups, temperatures, prey size, when are they offering food, how are they offering food, because this is another problem. People know house snakes love to eat, and you know it yourself. When they smell food and they get in the mood, they can come out for it, and they'll take it from your tongs or from your fingers if you're brave enough. But with the hatchling in particular, you don't want to try and offer it food because you end up intimidating it by offering it on a tong or something like that. So just placing that food in an appropriate place in the enclosure and leaving them alone, giving them the privacy is, we need to do less sometimes than more.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
So I think that one of the best ways to feed is right before you go to bed.
That's typically
you get out of the shower, get your bed ready, get your TV on, or whatever it is your normal practice is. Then feed your house snake a frozen, thawed, pink. Drop it in, shut your enclosure door, or shut your tub, or whatever it is you have the animal in. Turn all the lights off that you could possibly turn off, and go to bed.
Yeah, we have to remember nocturnal snakes in particular, like house snakes, they've got the cat's eyes, they come out at night, and they like to come out when everything is quiet, and that's when they hunt for their prey.
I agree.
Yeah, so when higher activity level, that's the worst time. And I understand the desire, people want to see their baby snake eating. It's like confirmation my animal is doing well. Yeah. But your eyes on that snake is intimidating that snake to eat. So the best is let it be in the quiet and eat its food in peace.
Yep. Yeah, I think this video will help a lot of people, and we needed to put it out there about what our practices are, as well as if you do have a house snake and it is struggling, whether you got it from us or not, like try these couple of things. I think the biggest one is feeding at night.
Yeah.
Don't feed your animal and then check it in 30 minutes, check it in an hour, check it in 3 hours. Yeah,
that's
in
the
the middle of the
way
day.
To put it off its food.
That's probably the worst thing you can do. Yeah. And I know, again, like Warren just says, it's kind of difficult because you want to watch the animal eat, which I never really figured that out, but I could see the concept of that from a pet perspective. But Anyway,
But let me just say one more thing. It's only when it's a baby snake. Once that snake is established and
it's
taking
crazy.
food readily,
It's crazy.
they don't care how many people are around.
Every
They'll
other
come
day,
and take it right
yeah.
from your fingers. They'll jump out of the enclosure to take. They love to eat. They're not difficult snakes to feed.
No.
They feed well in capture. That's one of the reasons they make such great pets.
Absolutely. Yeah, these things once they get comfortable eating in whatever you have them in, it's a game on.
Sure.
So, but anyway, we hope this video helped. Hope y'all enjoyed Warren being on it for us, and we certainly have enjoyed him. And Daytona is a blast. I don't know if you can hear any background noise, but everybody's having a great time. It's been a great show, great information, and hope y'all enjoy the future of house snakes. So, won't be long. Hopefully, we'll be going to visit Warren's new place. Can't wait to see that, and we'll see y'all soon.